It really is great to be with you here in beautiful British Columbia. And I think I speak for all of us in thanking those of you who make this possible, not only our sponsors, but our hosts. And if she's in the room, I'd like to offer a special shout out to Sally Kruger for organizing the events here at this conference. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort by a lot of people, but somebody has to be in charge of it, and for us, we're fortunate to have Sally Kruger do that. So, in thinking about how to open this meeting, I thought about the importance of the First Nations talking stick. During the next 3 days, we will hear from various perspectives. We'll hear various perspectives on the challenges facing our industry, and part of that is how are we doing in terms of doubling production over the course of the next decade, a goal which we set for ourselves in Santiago, Chile a few years back. You'll hear from a lot of smart people to address the challenges we currently face, and frankly, one of the benefits of us coming together as we do on an annual basis is that we should construe what we do as being pre-competitive. We're doing things on behalf of an industry, things that are very necessary for us collectively to address in order to advance the cause of that industry. So, without a doubt, as an industry, we have a lot of work cut out for us. I hope we all will engage in conversations using our own personal talking sticks to tell our respective stories. Getting ahead of myself here, the Global Aquaculture Alliance, we like to think we're in the solutions business, because isn't that what we all should be focusing on, is solutions? The three key pillars of the Global Aquaculture Alliance continue to be education, advocacy, and demonstration. For us, demonstration means that those people who are at the upper end of the curve are doing things in such a way that they are certified. However, in this meeting, our focus will be on education and advocacy. Two key activities that are more and more important for us as we're going to try to attempt to meet the needs to feed a growing population, 9 billion people by the year 2030. We'll also be revisiting the challenge that we did issue in 2011 for aquaculture to double in a decade. So how are we doing along that curve? We're not doing it. These are the growth numbers, production numbers that we've seen coming out of aquaculture since a baseline year of 2010. We're growing at a rate of about 4.5% per year. We need to grow at 7.2% per year to achieve doubling in a decade. So what does this tell us? If we continue at the same rate of growth, we'll double in 15 years. 15 years isn't too bad, an achievement on behalf of an aquaculture industry. I'm reminded of some comments George Chamberlain, the founder of our organization, made to me a couple of months back when talking about aquaculture and the issues that face aquaculture. He said it's a bit like an onion. You peel off one layer, you deal with that one layer, you get to another layer, you deal with that layer, and you keep working your way down into getting to the core of the onion. So, we kind of think the core of the onion and the major challenge that we need to face is disease. We've said it in the past, we continue to believe that is the case. Onions go bad from the center out. Disease belongs at the center, we think, of our onion. The next issue is feed. Feed supply, where's it going to come from? We certainly have had some success with algal products and with feed, soybean, soy meal, etc. We still got a long way to go to come up with an adequate feed supply that's consistent and that feed prices do not hamper the profitable growth of aquaculture. Next would be certainly the environment, moving away from the core. I think this industry's done a pretty good job of addressing the challenges dealing with the environment. Always room for improvement, but I think that was probably one of the initial rallying calls for the aquaculture industry. We knew there were environmental issues. We knew that we owned it, and we needed to do something about it. It was not to be left for other people to do. Social, on this front, I'd say we've got a ways to go. We'll hear more remarks about that over the course of the next 3 days, but clearly the rights and regard of the workers involved in aquaculture must be properly respected and folks treated in an appropriate way. Next, back one, social, I got it. Marketplace. Marketplace has really done a masterful job of advancing the cause of sustainable aquaculture in most areas of the world. There's still areas where we need to do a better job in that regard, but generally speaking, I think we've done a pretty good job on advancing the cause of sustainable aquaculture. Investment. Investors are still looking for more of a better risk management industry than maybe what we provide to them. I think we're making progress, but we've got quite a ways to go to get greater broad-based investor interest in this whole space called aquaculture. Leadership. Leadership is the challenge that we raised at Paris a couple of years ago. Where's the future leadership going to come from to drive the aquaculture industry? And I suggest to you that's not only a company-by-company an issue from a succession planning point of view, but it's an issue for each one of us in this room who are frankly here in a pre-competitive space, as a pre-competitive environment to deal with aquaculture issues. And that's really, leadership is something we need to focus on in each one of our organizations to remind our folks that you need to be doing these types of things as well as the types of things you're doing within your own organization. There are some wonderful examples of leadership programs. I may have been involved early on with the National Fisheries Institute, but I'm long gone history in terms of that effort, but they do a wonderful job of leadership development and training in the United States. We need to figure this out on a more global scale. We need to educate and provide leadership training for men and women who are coming along, who are the future of our industry. And finally, this conference is about consumer awareness. You'll hear a lot about what consumers think about aquaculture in terms of farm seafood, and the news is going to be not all good. But that's the reality, that's the situation. We need to deal with things as they are and move them to, frankly, to a better place. So, the educator in me, my self-appointed Professor Stevens, says, how are we doing in these areas? Disease, I think we're doing D. And that doesn't just stand for disease, it stands for the results that we're having. A lot of headroom on us. Feed, maybe a C. Finding alternatives. The environment, I think we're further along. Maybe we'll get it up to a B. Social responsibility, a D. We have great responsibilities collectively to do a better job in dealing with the men and women that are involved in any aspect of the aquaculture community. Market support, B. I think the marketplace, particularly in a lot of the parts of the world, is well out in front of these issues of sustainability. Investor support, we're in the middle somewhere. We've still got a lot of risk management issues to better address so we can get broader investor support in what we're doing. Leadership, incomplete, ongoing, nice opportunity for some folks to think about how we do it more globally than what we're doing it. And consumer awareness, I call it a C. We know a pretty good amount about what's happening in the minds of the consumer, but we got a ways to go. So, what can we do to better improve those grades? These are the 9 challenges we've talked about. I think we need to move consumer awareness to more probably into the area of consumer support, consumer advocacy, but it'll only happen with education. For me, for the Global Aquaculture Alliance, we move forward from this point in time to thinking about challenges and focus more of our efforts on thinking about solutions. And the principal solution that will address disease, feed, the environmental issues, social issues, marketplace, investor support, leadership, consumer advocacy support is education. It is education that is the hallmark of a civilized society. It is education that will be the hallmark of a sustainable aquaculture industry. Those are the words of Professor Stevens. Okay, I have one question to ask of you in the mode of your little devices, your ARS questions. You're getting better, as I saw through Steve's presentation, on how to respond and use this device. So the question for you, again, education circles the onion. My question would have been, where do you think in the next year, 5 years, we should be focusing more of our collective attention? Health and disease management, feed, environmental and social, leadership, investors, markets, or education? Really, where are the pulse points that we need to put our fingers on to move aquaculture to a more sustainable place, to achieve that doubling in a decade growth rate that we assign to ourselves? We're getting there. That may be a record number of votes, no? Okay, so I think it still shows that a lot of sense that the health and disease management issues are still something we need to focus heavily on. I'm pleased that my message on education got a little recognition for, it's going up, for where we should be focusing our attention.